Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Another riveting installment of my XDaysSince series where we're building a new application together. This is raw and uncensored and only mildly edited for your, just for the benefit of your viewing entertainment. This is going to be episode 6. I can't believe we're already on 6 episodes. And this is the database episode where we're going to be adding support to actually have a backing data store, which you commonly call a database, by way of MongoDB, to actually store all this data in there. So we're going to be setting it up from the ground up, adding Mongoose to use it as an ORM for interacting with MongoDB, and updating next auth to use MongoDB so that when you log in, you actually store users in the database. So you can actually refer to them and have XDaysSince incidents reference them. You kind of need things to last longer than just initial page load, and that's where the beauty of databases come in. So if you're tired of me talking about databases and just want to see me kind of guess how to do databases, let's start. Okay, back where it all began. Let's add database support. I am terrified because databases are hard. I am in no means an expert, but I will do my best along with you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try to use Mongoose, which I am terrified about because I am very much a novice with Mongoose. I'm intermediate with MongoDB, but novice with Mongoose. So like my skill level with MongoDB is here, Mongoose is down here. So we might fail. In point of fact, this is actually the second take because the first take was so bad and so unprepared that I couldn't salvage it and record it to you. So this is the this is going to be the slightly more polished version of it. So let's add MongoDB and Mongoose to our application. Those are installed, and then what we want to do is connect to it. I actually have pulled up already. What's awesome about Next.js is they have this examples folder, which has examples for, I think, the internet of like whatever you want to do. And they have one that's with MongoDB. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste their example because I think it's great. I want to make a, we'll make a util directory or a lib, I'll make a util directory, who cares? And then we're going to make a, where is this? We're going to make util and we'll make a new file. We'll just call it db with TypeScript. And here we have in here, and let's just grab the raw content in here. Let's save that. Let's enhance. This is taking two values in the process environment. So I think let's just grab those two and go to mtemplate. So we need to have the URI and we need to have the MongoDB database name. So we're going to do XDaysSince, and then the URI, because I'm not an expert, and I actually always forget the right format. The format is, where is it? Where's my format? Here it is. Okay. I mean, it's should be pretty simple. So it's going to be MongoDB : / 127.0.0.1 port 27017, which is the default MongoDB port. And then we're going to do XDaysSince. We open up the XDaysSince database by default. Let me copy this over into my mlocal because that has secrets. Okay, those are copied over, and now things should work correctly. So let me just delete this from the template so we don't need it, and save it. Where's my DB? Okay, so it's giving an error. Things are not failing. We need to add on global, type this. Oh man, how do you extend the global? I'm just going to ignore this for now because that's way too confusing, and we're just going to I'll figure this out later, but I'm not going to worry about this right now. I'll let it just yell at me. This is just for caching purposes, which is fine. And then connecting to MongoDB URI, which is up here. Again, this is another global that I'll deal with later. Mongo client from here, return it, connection cached. Okay, so assuming this works, so I don't think I have this database made right now. So what I'm actually going to do instead is add this to NextAuth. NextAuth lets you actually save things lets you save users to your database. So in the options, there's all these options for configuring NextAuth, and one of them is database. And this lets you save users to a backing database rather than just having them live ephemerally in the browser. So here's MongoDB, and I just need to add a database property here. So NextAuth is over there. I want the database URL, but in my case, we named this the MongoDB URI. So let's use that instead. So let's save that. And in point of fact, this should work. So if I go here and I sign in, it should have made people for me. So if I Mongo XDaysSince and you show tables, here we have some tables, some collections. And if I do db users find, there I am. So I exist. So let's do a thing first. Let's actually, on my profile page, we're returning content already, but how are we doing that? We're using that from this session. Let's see if we actually can return it from the database. We can return the created at and updated at fields. So if I go here in the profile page, I do export function get static props. We can get static props. Do I want to do that? Let's do that for now. And we're going to say, where's my database? Let's make this bigger. DB. So connect to database. So if I do, this is returning the connection, which has the promise, the connection, which should have the DB on there for me to do things with. So if I do const DB equals await database, await, cool. So export async. So now if I do DB, this should be the type of MongoDB client. Connection is connection con cache. So much dynamicism, but this should return a promise that returns a DB, which is of type DB. And that's what I care about. So let's import that. Yes, like that. So now this is the right type, and I can do DB collection users find. I'm going to say where the name equals Harry Wolf, and we're going to do await user. Actually, I wanted this to be find one, just find the first one. And then we can do return props user, which is fine. And then this should get me the user. So if I append this and save that and refresh, I get an error. Connect serialized as JSON. So this needs to go to JSON, and it's not a function, right? That's right, I'm not using Mongoose. And we're going to do JSON stringify user. Error serializing props from get. Props must be returned as a plain object. Oh, I have to parse it back in. It can't be a string. JSON parse. This is a simple, cheap way. And nothing's showing up, which is awesome. Oh, right, because this is a user's. Right. Am I making sense? Hope I'm making sense. You got user, like that. Refresh. There we go. There we go. Okay, that was a lot of just weirdness, but essentially, this is an actual object, but Next.js requires you to only send serializable JSON to the browser. So this is a little, and then the value that I had from user, so I actually console log that here. I think ID is an object, so I'll refresh. Yeah, ID is an object, which you can't serialize with JSON. So I made it into a string, then made it back into an object, and then I can actually use it there. So everything works, everything's great. It's working, that's awesome. So that's cool. Things are being stored in the database. That's awesome. Where's my README? I got this working not with Mongoose, just with regular MongoDB. I have this stored, it's storing with users, that was pretty easy. And then I need to make an instance and actually make that work there. Oh man, I'm scared. Okay, so we want to use Mongoose. Hello, it's me. So this video took a completely left turn. I'm not sure if you can see, but this is me editing the video right now. And this half is what you just saw. You just saw this half of the video. This half is me trying to go to Mongoose. This is about 16 minutes of me trying to get to Mongoose and just failing. So I'm making an executive decision and not using Mongoose. I don't know how to use it that well. The extra benefit that it's going to add to me is not worth the extra time and stress that it added to just get it to work. So we're gonna continue on as if Mongoose never happened. And I'm gonna now film me going further with just the MongoDB driver itself. So no more Mongoose. Okay, so as you just saw, Mongoose is not happening. So let's double down on MongoDB itself. Just plain old nice driver. Before I do actually, I solved the global types error that I was having with TypeScript. Essentially, I had to make a definition TypeScript file and extend the existing global interfaces. TypeScript is sometimes more pleasure than pain. This is one of those cases where a DTS file, where'd it go? Oh, types.dts file is just a definition file. This is just pure types. There's no values. There's no like variables in there. And TypeScript supports interface merging, so you can actually take an existing interface and merge in additional properties inside of it. That's what I've done here. So on the global namespace, I've gone to the Node.js namespace and then extended these two interfaces, global and process end, so that now this is being correctly type checked because it actually knows what's going on. So that's all good. So where we were last is on the profile page where we have myself being able to pull in information correctly, which I don't even know if that's really necessary, frankly. Like, this is nice that I can do it, but I guess I'll have to be doing some stuff there eventually, but not for now. What I want to do next actually is mess around with the instance schema, and that's on the instance page. So what I'm going to do is let's just make a interface for incidents. I actually have that defined up here. Like, I actually have like just pseudocode incidents up here. Let's see if I can put it in types. This might be a bad idea, but let's do it for now. Nah, I'll put it in dbts. So we shall call this, let's go to the bottom. Just gonna put it down here. So this is gonna be a interface called incidents. It's gonna be incident. We'll have an ID, which is an object ID. We have created, which is a date. Last occurrence is a date. Title is a string. And the creator ID is going to be an object ID as well. So let's make that an object ID. Cool. And we're going to go real lo-fi with this. Let's make this bigger because we're coding a lot right now. Let's go to the instance page, which is pages I slug. And I want to actually inject a few incidents to actually have some example stuff to work with. So the user's find, here's my object ID. What I want to do is actually do db incidents, and then I think it's create. Is it create? And that is going to be insert one. Cool, that's what I want, insert one. Insert one. And let's actually just mock this out in here, might be a little bit easier. Insert one, oops. And we are going to take my object ID, because I'm the user that's creating this, so it's the creator ID, like that. And let's just grab all these things here. So the date, just do new date, and this one shall be coffee. So I can copy and paste that in. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's insert that. And I have the syntax because, right, these are not like that. I like to prototype it in VS Code because it's easier to copy and paste. So it looks like that was inserted. So if I go db incidents find, there's one thing in there. So let's add another one. Let's do what's the last thing I have in a while? A beer. Okay, so I have beer, and what's the last thing? Let's say title. It's been XDaysSince I've had a bug, either eaten or in my software. Okay, so now I have 3 things in the incidents. So let's go into, I don't need this anymore. Let's go into the incidents page, and we are going to actually make that work. We're going to be using the Next.js ability to make data fetching. The 2 APIs we're going to use is get static paths and get server-side paths. So get static paths is when the paths have dynamic routes in them. So let's copy and paste this because I am a huge fan of this. And we are actually going to do const db equals await connect to DB, connect to database. Cool. I have the database, and I'm going to say items equals DB collection incidents find. I'm just going to find all of them. And all we really need here is the slug, which is the slug parameter is all we need. So if I actually need to map these over, so params, paths, so this is all the paths that we support, and we shall do items.map item, and we're going to return a params with a slug, and the slug, ooh, did I forget about this? I don't want it to be the object ID when you actually go there. We'll use the object ID for now. That's fine. So the slug item, and we'll do this. So this is items. The collection and this find should be a find of incidents. Incident. And I have to export this, right? Exporting that. Incident. Come on. You can import it. I know you can. Import this. Find So the collection, oh, wrong place for the generic. Collection takes the generic of all the types. There you go. So this should be an, let's do await. This should be an array. So find returns a cursor, but I actually want this to be an array. So let's just do that. To array. Is that a promise or yeah? Okay, so this should be an array of incidents. There we go. So we have an item, and then we have an ID. So I can actually delete this now. Fallback I want to come back to because I actually want to play with that a little bit more. So this is the static path. This should give me each one that's available. I think what I want to do also is list out the incidents that we can go to on the main page. So usually I would make this as a library in the DB. So let's make this actually, let's do export function, export const, let's call it incident DAO. It's just a way to do it. We'll do get all. And this is just going to return a, it's going to return this, like that. Return this, return. So this should return all of the incidents. And we're going to call, we'll pass in DB, sure. DB shall be DB. So now export const DB, this should return promiseful incidents. So if I replace this with incident DAO, get all with DB, everything should still work. I have to await this. Cool. Now for the index page, I want to list out all of the incidents that you can go to. So I actually want, this is going to actually be using get static props. And this is just being done down and dirty. I'm going to optimize this a little bit later, I think, because I think that'll make things easier. But for now, let's just make this work. Import that. Import that. And then we're going to props. We're just going to pass in items. And then items is over here. And I can actually go or list. And we're going to do items map item. And we're going to return a list item that has item title. Yeah? Is that right? Right, I know this has implicit any, that's fine. So let's go to the main page. Right, it can't be serialized, great. So annoying how this happens. This is my good old parse stringify. So let's just make a little helper for ourselves. We're going to call this safe stringify. Safe stringify, export function safe stringify. And we're going to return essentially this, just to like reduce our verbosity here. And then here's the obj. This is the obj. And this can be unknown. I don't know what it's going to be, which is fine. Safe stringify. Then index, we're going to do safe stringify. Import it. Items. There we go. Copy of your bug. Okay, so that's working correctly. And then I want to link to things. How do I link to things again? I don't know, but I will copy and paste it like this. Link title. And this is going to be it shall be I/, item underscore ID, like that. Link is not defined. Let's import it then. There we go. Coffee. Okay, so these things are being linked to correctly. So beer is I and the object ID. Cool. And it's now mad at me for some reasons. Let's see why. I'm not going to worry about the TypeScript for now. Let's remove this. Here's a slug. Slugs is item ID, and this has to be toString because that's an object right now. And I need get static props to actually make that page render. And this is going to be incident. Right, this is why it's wrong. Incident that is the incident right now. Which means that this should be passed in from here. So props should be the item itself. And I'm going to move this like that. And this get static props should be context params. So I want this to be params and slug. So we're going to do instant. So we'll get by ID. So get by ID. I'm going to call this ID for now. String. DB, sure. Do I need to actually, we'll just do that for now. DB ID, so DB collection incidents, find, this needs to be DB, be find, get by ID, find one, underscore, object ID, ID, like that. Does that work? I have no idea. Import it in, save it. Nope. Object ID. Where are we? Where'd we go? Object ID. New object ID. New. And this should be get by ID, which should return just one incident. So if I do get by ID and I go back to slug, I can do item, get by ID, and it's going to be the slug. And I need to also pass in the DB. There we go. There we go. And then this should have the title in it, because it's an incident, right? And this is title. Hey, look at that. There we go. Pulling from the database. That's cool. This is pulling from the database because that's getting the slug from up here and it's looking it up from the DB. So I go to coffee, it's saying coffee. So that's working. So I actually have some basic examples running from the database. And the thing that's also interesting here that I want to take note of, well, I think that's enough. I think that's pretty good. I was going to talk about fallback, but I think we've kind of, hit our limit of things that we want to talk about. Fallback is going to be blocking. What's cool about fallback for me is that it lets you do incremental static regeneration. So that means that rather than having to render everything always up front, you can actually just render things incrementally. And it means that as new things are added, you'll cache them. So let's actually go and do that, because I guess it might be pretty simple to add. I can go to slug here, and fallback is going to be blocking like that. And it should have no impact here, but it means that as people add new incidents, I will be regenerating them incrementally and then caching the generated HTML, which means that I kind of get the best of both worlds, where I'll be able to not have to rerun. It won't be fully static. Is essentially the main reason, which is great. It'll be actually it'll be able to grow as people use it more, but still have statically cached things. And that's kind of we'll pre-render only these paths at build time. Fallback blocking will server render pages on demand if the path doesn't exist. So as people make new incidents, we will server render them and make things correctly, which is awesome. This whole topic of incremental stack regeneration, which is really, really cool to make things really performant. I also need to do get static props. Let's revalidate, get static props. Over here, we'll say revalidate every 30 seconds, like that. And can I make this look a bit better? There we go. Revalidate is when it'll actually, for how long a page can be stale for. It's kind of the idea there. But yeah, that's me adding some basic incidents and making things being pulled from the database. Pretty cool. I like it. Okay, so that went much better than my first attempt. The first attempt was pretty poor. This one came out a lot better, so I'm glad for that. Hopefully it was a little bit more illuminating and educational for you than I think the previous one, because that was mostly educational for me than it was for you. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. It's live, unedited, edited, whatever. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll stick around for the next one as well. I hope it's not as stressful as this one was to record. Databases are always stressful, but you know, we made it through. We made it through alive. So cheers to you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're not already. And I'll catch you again in the next video. Stay happy, stay coding.